Yeah, although that as a libertarian, I would never argue for something because it brought us additional background. I would argue.
Ulmer, can you hear me back here, sir?
I can hear you back here, sir.
Okay. All right. I think we're about ready to start this evening's presentation. For those of you who somehow don't know, I'm David Ulmer, the Wake County Libertarian Chair. A couple things that I always go over. We're doing three things. We do a volunteer event once a month. That's where we demonstrate to the community that libertarians believe in solving problems by volunteering. So we've done Habitat for Humanity. We did the Interfaith Food Shuttle this past month. And next month, it looks like we'll be doing a bowling event for a boys and girls club here in Raleigh. And that should be pretty good. Get us out of the heat in August. The other thing we try to do is bring in at least one speaker a month. And so this is where we learn something that'll be helpful for our candidates and make us better educated voters and take our ideas moving forward in the community. And the third thing we're working on is engagement groups that we might normally not engage in. It might be RLC, it might be maybe an environmental group, it might be a news and observer event around education. So we're trying to make sure that we get out and demonstrate that we're an organized group, we have ideas and we want to discuss them in the public. So with that, I want to go over a couple quick events. Next week, Susan Hogarth, who's one of the candidates for state chair, will be here to talk. So that's next Wednesday. 11 August is, of course, the weekend of our convention in Lake Lure. If you have not signed up and would like to go, I would encourage you to look at that. We can still get you in there. I think there's still rooms available, just not under the discounted rate anymore. And then 16 August, Owen Watson has lined up a speaker for us. And Owen, you want to just give me the name again? Because
Sure.
It's a little short notice.
So it's called The Impact of Lost Community in African American Neighborhoods, Economic and Social Recovery.
Okay. And again, as normal, we'll have all our Facebook events. We'll have that event up on Facebook along with the others here shortly. So with that, our guest speaker tonight, too far away, or you don't want food? Or charades, it's a man eating. Brunch, okay, thank you. I forgot one event, and I'm not very good at charades. This Sunday, we do have a brunch event to celebrate the fact that we can now actually have a mimosa at 10 a.m., and that's at the Royale, which is here in downtown Raleigh. So if you want to join us for a very laid back, no speaker, no exciting event going on other than a Bloody Mary or a mimosa, please join us this Sunday. All right, now we're done? Got them all. Sorry about that. Julie Tisdale, City and County Policy Analyst and Research Manager for the John Locke Foundation. He is going to make us smart, and so I will stop talking and hand you the mic. Thank you.
I'm not used to using a mic, so if you can't hear me, let me know. I am the City and County Policy Analyst for the John Locke Foundation. I've been in that role for about a year and a half now. I've been with the Locke Foundation for about 5 years. Let me tell you a little bit. I assume most of you probably know, but let me tell you a little bit about Locke and what we do. We are a free market think tank. So we're not libertarian, we're not Republican, we're not Democrat, but we are we're free market and limited government. So we will work with people across all parties. And internally, we sometimes disagree about particular policy issues, which makes it a really fun place to work. I get to work with a lot of smart people who have strong opinions and who are paid to talk about and write about those opinions. So it is a great place to work, and we do some really interesting work. I've certainly learned a lot since being there. But city and county government was a new subject for me, and not something that I had ever really known very much about. It is not the sexiest topic in the world. People get really excited about national politics or international politics, even state level. When you start talking about county commissions, and their eyes kind of glaze over, and it doesn't seem like a very exciting thing. One of the things that I've learned in a couple of years doing this is that actually local government is really, really exciting. My favorite story about this is about a piece that I wrote a year ago on bike lanes. I think some of you saw that this week. 3 or 4 different people have brought this article up to me this week from the News and Observer. I wrote it a year ago. I wrote it to coincide with the release of a policy report that we did on the biplanes in Raleigh and the money that was being spent on it. I brought copies of that. I'll hand it out. You can read it if you'd like. And this was the first big report that I put out. I released it on a Tuesday, and I remember that it went out on a Tuesday because I was leaving that evening and going away on vacation Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Tuesday, I'm at the salon getting my toes done because a girl cannot go on vacation without getting her toes done. So I'm sitting with my sister, and all of a sudden I gasped. And the poor woman doing my toes thought she'd cut me or something. She was very concerned. And I said, no, I'm fine. But that's my report on ABC 11. And sure enough, there's a reporter standing in the street in front of a biplane talking about my biplane report. Now, the total amount of money spent on that project in Raleigh, it was in Raleigh the previous year, had been like $4.6 million. This is not huge amounts of money at all. And it's localized to Raleigh. This is not in any sort of grand sense important. And yet, ABC 11 reported on it that Tuesday. It was the lead story on Wednesday. The News and Observer read my editorial, which is difficult. They don't like to run stuff that I write. I got calls from legislators. I got letters from people across the state. I mean, it was unbelievable. Months later, I was still getting letters. And this week, it's been brought up to me 3 or 4 times by different people because somebody found it and it's resurfaced. So this one little issue was very, very powerful and really resonated. And I think the reason that's not about me. That's not about any sort of brilliance that I wrote. It's because local government issues like that may be small, but they are very, very close to people. And they impact people's lives every day. So people were driving to work every day, seeing these empty bike lanes, and they saw that it was impeding the flow of traffic. Or they saw that it was harder to turn out of their own driveway because there was a crazy bike lane that didn't even make any sense right in front of their house, or whatever it was. People got very upset about that. And I think that's the power of local government, is that it is very, very close to people. And so people get very, very excited and feel passionately about it. So I love doing local government. Take my notes here. So there were several things that I thought I might talk about today, several sort of policy things. And we can talk about any of those if you want. There's bike lanes. There's sort of a big transit plan that went through in November, and that the voters actually voted on a tax increase to fund in November. So there's that. There was a stadium announcement last week that's kind of significant or could potentially be kind of significant for Raleigh. I've written about that. I've got a report about that coming out this week, comparing the proposals in Charlotte and in Raleigh. So we can talk about that if you want. I thought that we might touch on some of those things. There are property taxes. In the Carolina journals that I've circulated, there's a piece about property taxes across the state that I wrote. It's on page 14. The information's a little bit out of date, just because of our date went to press, but we can talk about any of those things. But actually, I want to talk about something different that has just emerged in the past week, and that I am really, really excited about. A week ago, I went to Denver and spent a couple of days with my counterparts from other state-based think tanks across the country. All people that are working on local government issues, are interested in local government. There were about 10 or 12 of us, and we brainstormed, we threw ideas around, we put lots of Post-it notes on walls, and it was fantastic. And one of the best ideas that I took away from that is a project that's been running in Colorado for a little while now, and that we're going to try to implement here in North Carolina as well. So it turns out that in Wake County, just in Wake County, there are 140 different bodies. There may be more than that. There's 140 that I and an intern have been able to come up with this week. 140 different bodies that are exercising de facto control and governance over the citizens of Wake County, and they're not elected, and they have no media scrutiny, and nobody goes to their meetings, nobody really knows what most of them are doing, nobody knows that most of them exist, and yet they can be very, very powerful. And those 140 bodies are citizens advice bureaus, advisory boards, not advisory, advisory boards and commissions that work in an advisory capacity with the county commissioners and with city governments. And these cover a whole range of things. Some of them are things that you know about. Planning commissions, everybody's heard about that. The ABC board, people have heard about that. But there are also boards for libraries. There are boards for maybe adjustment board. You've probably heard about those. There's a fitness and health board. There's a women's commission. There are 140 of them. And they're pretty powerful because you've got all these county commissioners, but they can't be experts in everything. Sig Hutchinson knows a lot about transit. He's an expert in that, but he doesn't know about everything else, right? And so they rely on these commissions to do research, to really understand the subjects that they're responsible for, and then to advise them on policy. And people on these commissions by appointment. They're appointed by the county, by staff that are working at county level. And so these people, unelected, you don't know who they are. You can find out. It's all public. It's on the Wake County website. But nobody ever really talks about the work they're doing. And yet, they are making serious recommendations that are taken very seriously by county commissioners, by city councils. And so, what we have decided at the Locke Foundation is that perhaps starting to address some of those boards and commissions could be a really great way to start to influence policy. Even non-political, which is another great aspect of this whole thing. You guys are libertarians. Electoral politics, and I have to be really honest, electoral politics isn't working super well for you. I looked up the numbers today. Last year's general election, Gary Johnson got 2.74% of the vote in North Carolina.
That's double. That's double.
Right. Okay, there you go. So almost 3%, and you guys are excited about that, and that's great. But that is a long way from elected office. It doesn't get better when you go to sort of lower levels. Sean Paul, 3.57%. In District 1, J.J. Summerall, 2.42%. So you're sitting 2-3% of the vote. And I am not telling you not to run for office. Run for office. That's fantastic. Support libertarian candidates. That's fantastic. That's part of the democratic system. That's great. And we need third parties to be out there articulating some other views. However, in addition, without ever running for election, without having to raise campaign funds, without having to go out and fight these election campaigns that come in with 3% of the vote, you can today go onto the Wake County website and apply to be on a board or a commission and be one of 7, 8, 15 people who are making serious recommendations to county commissioners on issues that really affect people's lives every day. The application process isn't very onerous. You go in, you it's name, address, that kind of stuff. Upload a resume, talk to us about your interests, and actually list your top 6 boards, and we'll see where there's an opening. They are desperate for people. Lots of these boards and commissions have vacancies. My favorite is that the Health and Fitness Commission, I can't remember exactly the name of it. I got it written down. Hold on. The Council on Fitness and Health. It has 23 members. Of those 23 members, 8 of the slots are expired, and 15 are vacant. Okay, so that's all of them are either expired terms or vacant. we need some people on that board. And if we get people in there with the right kind of ideology, if we get people in there who will say, maybe we shouldn't be allocating this money to this project, or maybe this board shouldn't even exist because it's not an appropriate role for government. You know, maybe we could actually see some of these boards go away, and maybe we can see the recommendations that they're making become more aligned with what we as small government and free market people would really want to see. And that cuts across party lines. You can do that and still be in the Libertarian Party. You can do that and still run for office and still support candidates. But it's a way you can start to make a real difference now. And the other really fantastic thing about doing boards and commissions is that it builds up your resume. So when you decide you do want to run for office, you're not some kook. You're actually somebody with 6 years of board experience at the county level who's been involved in serious policy work. And so it helps to get elected later when you decide if that is what you want, if you decide if that's what you want to do. So I want you to think seriously about looking at the vacancies in Wake County boards and commissions and considering whether that might be a place where you can get involved and really make a difference now. So, in order to sort of make that a little easier for you, I'm going to make it a little more concrete because I've just told you that there are 140 of these things. About half of those are county, and the other half are for various cities. So you got Cary or Raleigh or Apex or whatever that have their own. So it depends on where you live. But here are the ones that are being appointed this year, before the end of 2017, where there will be appointments. In September, they're going to appoint a couple of people to the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. Okay, that doesn't sound super exciting to me, but I bet that they've got a budget. I bet that they're spending money. And so getting some people on that board to determine how that money is being spent is probably significant. In October, they're going to appoint 2 people to the Commission for Women. This is one of my favorites in reading through this list. I don't know why we have a Commission for Women. I started reading the history of the Commission for Women, and evidently the state passed a law that all counties can set this up. And so in the mid-90s, somebody in Wake County said, look at this, we can set this up, but we don't have one. We must have a Commission for Women. And then you can't oppose the Commission for Women because then you're sexist, right? So this thing goes through, and it's been operating now since the mid-90s. I'm not sure what they do exactly, but they produce a lot of reports. Because if you go onto their website, last year they produced a 31-page report on the state of employment for women in Wake County. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical that that's doing anything good for women, and it's probably costing money, and it's probably just sort of stirring a pot that doesn't need to be stirred. I'd love to get some good people on the Commission for Women. And there are two appointments that are going to be made later this year. There's a fire commission, which advises the Board of Commissioners about fire protection service delivery. That seems kind of important to me. The Council on Fitness and Health that I've already told you about, where all the seats are either vacant or expired. And that is, this is their stated objective, is to call attention to the importance of physical fitness, organize resources to create fitness initiatives, and act as a catalyst in stimulating new community ventures. None of that sounds like the role of government to me. I don't know what you think. So maybe getting some people on that board or on that commission to question would be really useful. We've also got the Human Services Board coming up in November. Triangle Transit Authority has some appointments coming up in November, but funnily enough, there are no details listed on the website. So I think maybe somebody's trying to protect that one. I'm not sure what the deal is. I suspect somebody's trying to protect it. And in December, the United Arts Grants hands. So these are people that give grants to the arts, to public art. I mean, this is an area where there's been a lot of abuse in the past. And that has 2 vacancies coming up in December. So these are some pretty significant areas where you can actually have a voice. And I would encourage you to embrace that and start to engage in your community in that way. And really start working not on politics, but on policy. And with that, I think I've used almost my 20 minutes. So let me run through a couple of other pieces here. I'm going to pass these around. And then I'm going to take questions, and we can talk about boards and commissions, or we can talk about policy, sort of whatever you guys want to do. This first one that I'm going to pass around is not about bike lanes, it's about a bike superhighway. Have you guys heard about this? It's amazing. I got a call from the News and Observer a few months ago, and he said, I called you because I was looking for an opposing opinion, and I thought you might be the person. And I said, okay. And he said, when I start talking, I think you'll know where I'm going with this. And he said, so Steve Hutchinson is talking about a bicycle superhighway, and I groaned. It was the first I'd heard about it, but I gave him some comments. And then I started digging and researching. It was really difficult to actually find any information about this, but this is a piece I wrote about it. This is an old piece about the Major League Soccer stadiums. I've got a report coming out, I think, this week that's updated, but this will give you a taste of the kinds of things that we're saying about Major League Soccer. This is everybody's favorite, the Wayne County Transit Plan. I don't think anything in here will be news to you guys, but if you want to read it, yes. Yeah, that's totally separate. So the Wake County Transit Plan is the buses, meter rail, and all of that. So the superhighway is other money. Yeah. And this is the aforementioned bike lane piece. So if you want to read the piece that sort of started all the craziness around bike lanes. I have also passed around Carolina Journals. If any of you don't receive Carolina Journal already, we can sign you up for a free subscription. If you put your details on these reply cards that I put around right here, I'll collect those, and we can give you a free Carolina Journal subscription sent to your home or your office every month. We also have an online Carolina Journal with new articles every day. And we're doing some investigative journalism, we're doing some columns and op-eds, so there's a lot of really good stuff in there. That's all totally free. And then the final thing that I'm going to give you is these. These are our fast fact cards. We produce these every year. We're about to produce some new ones. These are basic numbers about the North Carolina budget and some demographics and that kind of thing. This is just really, really basic. So it gives you kind of the headlines for how much are we spending and in what areas in North Carolina. We produce like tens of thousands of these, so take as many as you want. This is all I brought tonight, but I can send you more. We've got billions. And with that, I would love to take some questions and sort of talk with you guys a little bit. Yes?
I have a comment and a question.
Okay.
My comment is that with respect to reports, actually, the chair, I'm sure you probably have to be here tonight, and he could probably speak to this also, but this has been a standard part of our institution. All the reasons you mentioned, plus of course the fact that it gives you and also makes you know there's obviously not going to get publicity for the board, but people who are working on the board know who you are, and if you are outspoken, maybe more than those people.
Absolutely.
So we think what you guys are doing is great.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that you guys are doing that already. Do it more.
Well, we
There
are doing
are a
it
lot
enough.
of vacancies.
We don't have that many people on board, so
Yeah.
your encouragement is very much appreciated.
Yep. So here's what I would encourage.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question question was, sometimes it's not actually as easy as going on and just applying, especially if you're easily identified as libertarian. I certainly understand this. You Google my name, everybody knows exactly where I stand on everything, right? And that can be an issue sometimes. Not every part of my life is tied to my politics or my political beliefs. I would encourage you to email me. Let me know. Let me know if you've applied. Actually, I'd just be interested in that. Hey, I put in an application. If you don't hear anything, let me know that too. We are just starting to think about how we can encourage people to get involved in this space. We're thinking about what we can do to help equip you to do that well. This is really, really early. You guys are the first people I've talked to about this. And we're in the very early stages. So we're developing some of that. But keep us posted, keep me posted. If you're applying, if you feel like it's being sort of shut down and you're not getting a response. One of the things that they've done in Colorado's been doing this for a little while. And one of the things that they've found there is that sometimes the sort of bureaucratic system that's in place just doesn't function very well. And so somebody sends in an application and never hears anything. And actually a phone call from somebody like the John Locke Foundation or some person who seems not official but seems to sort of know what they're talking about will spur those people to action. And you can get them to kind of move and process applications. So keep us posted if we're doing clear to make that work. Yes. I saw a lot of nodding.
Yes. Well, first of all, I actually am on one of those advisory boards.
Wonderful.
Just because I asked. Like, all I had to do was ask. I got on the Historic Cemeteries Advisory Board, all I did was ask. And just at the last meeting, they were complaining about not having enough budget. And I was like, why aren't we applying for grants? People love historic cemeteries. And it was like, nobody had brought that up. So, I mean, already it's like affecting change. Also, Brian submitted my name to the Wake County Board of Elections this year, which has become an issue, actually. I don't know, Brian, if you want to talk more about it, but the Libertarians were the only ones to submit names for the Wake County Board of Elections on time.
Wow.
And we might actually have a chance to be to serve on the board.
This much.
So real quick though, Amy went through the neighborhood training that Raleigh offers. So in Raleigh, you sign up for a neighborhood training class and then a Citizens Leadership Academy. And they screened me. They knew exactly who I was and my background when I got selected. So I don't feel there was an anti-libertarian thing. They do have a filter when they run that class to make sure that you can play nicely with others. And I somehow made it through. So that should broadly be indicative of the fact that it's pretty lenient. So with that in mind, that is the trick though. Raleigh, I know with Raleigh, they like you to go through their Citizens Leadership Academy or their neighborhood training. That's how you meet people that do work in various city departments, and then you can get on these boards a little easier.
I actually used to work with and one of the things I can tell you is that a lot of the boys and musicians that are like, it's like health and fitness, they really legitimately cannot get it. And if you're the person that asks, a lot of times will say yes. One thing I say with Ulmer is if you have any specifics that you can write a recommendation letter, that actually can be very powerful. If you're the one guy who got a recommendation letter, because they want something qualified, but they also have a response. And the good person who's doing this has 20 other things.
It's an important point. So there are some, like the ABC board, it's full, it doesn't have any vacancies. I suspect none of us are getting on that, right? But some of these have a lot. Across that 140, there are 59 vacancies and 77 expired. So that's a lot of people. If you're the one person who puts yourself forward and is willing to attend the meeting, show up, and maybe you're one of the ones that doesn't seem quite as interesting again. And then after a couple of years, when you've proven that you can play nice with others, and you've attended, you've been there consistently, you've maybe made some valuable contributions, then maybe you're more likely to get on a board that seems like a little bit more interesting. But it is a great way to get to know your community as well. Yeah.
Hi.
the civic campus that's being proposed by City of Raleigh. Is there anybody at John Locke who's looking into that? Because when they first proposed the Hargett Street location, their estimate was 95 million, as opposed to 120 and 130 for other locations. Well, 1 month later, the figure became 169 million. Strangely, after having decided on the 95 million. So it almost doubled instantly. So there's obvious vanity project sort of thing going on there. Is anybody working on that?
So that is me, and I haven't been working on it because I've just had so much else. I do city and county government across the entire state, not just Wake County, not just Raleigh. There are 100 counties, there are 552 municipalities. So I haven't gotten to it, but send me an email. I've got cards. Send me an email, give me a call, let's talk about it, because that's my sort of territory, and that sounds like something that I need to be looking at in more detail. Because the MLS stuff is now finished, so I got a little bit of capacity right now.
I think it's actually going to be 200 million when they're done.
These things always grow, and they just get out of control. I mean, you talk about a doubling in cost already.
1 month later, it was doubled.
Right. Yes.
I didn't get to ask my question, which is on a different topic. So now that we've moved away from commissions, the soccer stadium, which, as you probably know, and I don't know if everyone here knows, we are within walking distance of where the site is proposed. It's actually just across P Street, just south of P Street. So, I mean, it's literally like a 3-minute walk from here. You have to go out that door and out that door. Is that, the account I read in the N&O said that the Raleigh proposal did not involve any taxpayer money to construct the stadium. I think there was some city property was involved that they had to donate or they had to lease or something like that, but there was no direct tax money. Is that correct?
That is correct. Let me talk a little bit about the MLS stadium. I've been so in this for months. I kind of assume that everybody knows, I think more than people actually do know. And part of that is because there's not a lot of taxpayer money. And so there haven't been any votes on this. There hasn't been a whole lot of information that's been made public. Essentially, Steve Mallett, who owns North Carolina FC, which used to be the Railhawks, he is trying to get that team converted to a Major League Soccer team. Major League Soccer announced in December that they were going to be expanding the 2 teams in this sort of next round and then 2 more in 2020. And so 12 cities across the country put in bids. 2 of those bids were in North Carolina. There was a Raleigh bid and there was a Charlotte bid. Raleigh was led by Steve Mallett. He wants to convert North Carolina FC to a Major League Soccer team. And he said from the word go, we're going to privately finance this whole thing. Private money, private money, private money, private money, private money. That's fantastic. That's what I wrote about in my piece. Private money is the way to build stadiums. It's doable. There are examples. There aren't very many examples, but there are examples in other parts of the country. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, and the last Major League Baseball stadium that was built without any taxpayer money was San Francisco, AT&T Park, which is beautiful and consistently ranked the top, well, often the top stadium in the country. If not, it's always on top 2 or 3. So it can be done privately, but it's not very often because cities have gotten into the habit, cities and counties have gotten into the habit of giving this money away. And if there's money being offered, why would you go to the city that's not offering the money, right? We kind of created this self-perpetuating cycle. But Steve Mallett said, we're not going to use any taxpayer money for this. And he's been real consistent about that. Last week, he held a press conference where he revealed the site of the stadium, which also nobody knew because none of it had to be public. And the site is right across the street. It's an area now that is some government buildings and parking lots, and there's really not much there. I think the stadium drawings look super cool, actually. I would love to see that built. But my question is that the land he wants to build on is state-owned, and he's been real short on details about what that exchange would look like. Is he going to buy the land? Does he want the state to give him the land? Does he want the state to, this in some ways be the worst, I think. Does he want the state to retain ownership of the land and just let him build on it? Because if they own the land, then there are questions about whether he even has to pay property taxes on it. I mean, it just gets very, very complicated. We don't know the answers to any of that. What we do know is that the stadium would cost about $150 to $175 million. There's about an additional $600 million that they're planning to put in. John Kane and Jim Goodman are both involved in that. So some development, they're going to build offices, they're going to build shops, restaurants, apartments, the whole deal, mixed-use development that would go around that. We just aren't sure about the money. In contrast, in Charlotte, it's tons of taxpayers. Marcus Smith, who's the son of Bruce Smith, who owns Speedway in Charlotte, and about 6 others around the country, 5 or 6 others. He is leading the bid there. The stadium would cost $175 million. What he has proposed is that he put up half of that, and the city and county split the other half. Sort of. Except of his half, which is $87.5 million, he's really only going to put up $12.5 million, and he's going to borrow the other $70 million from the county. So the county actually has a $70 million loan and another $43.75 million that they're just outright putting towards it. Despite the craziness of this, the county actually approved that plan. And the next day, the city council, kudos to them, said, we're just not there. We're not even going to bother voting on it because we are not there. The city's now gone back and forth. They said, yeah, maybe we can put in 30, not 43. The county said, well, we're only putting money in if you're putting money in. So things are very much up in the air in Charlotte. They're proceeding with the bid, but it's heavily taxpayer funded in Charlotte. So Raleigh not perfect. The Charlotte bid is much, much worse.
Question. I know that heavily involved. Is there going to be a centennial authority involved in this soccer game?
We just don't know.
We didn't know that.
Yeah. And people are asking all of those questions, right? Because and the Centennial Authority actually one of those boards, right? So get on to these things. They can be influential. We don't know because this has been largely private, because it will be largely privately financed. We just haven't had the reveal any of it, and so we don't know yet what the plans are going to be. I think the city and state and county were all sort of caught off guard last week without making an announcement. So I'm not sure they. Yes.
Can you just give us real quickly your 2 cents on the transportation thing that went through the tax hike?
Yes, I can. So I've passed around my spotlight report on that, and that's got a lot of detail. But basically, my 2 cents, the short version, is that it is a lot of money for the wrong project. These are services that nobody's going to use. It's commuter rail, it's bus rapid transit, which is not just more, but it's more buses, but it's also this BRT thing, which is a really big component, bus rapid transit. Bus rapid transit is a different monster. It is buses in dedicated lanes. Sometimes those lanes actually have physical barriers, setting them apart from the lanes for all the rest of the motorized traffic. They have these electronic systems. I don't know how this works exactly, but basically the stoplights can sense that the bus is approaching and it'll let them pass through. So it's going to disrupt all those traffic patterns. It makes the buses run really smoothly and quickly. So it actually does make for very efficient buses if you're in a city where people ride buses. But people in Raleigh don't ride buses. People aren't riding the buses that are already around. You can see. I mean, any of you ever ridden a bus? And anybody? Oh gosh, you got 3. That's amazing.
I rode a bus here.
And it was the bus full when you rode it here.
There were about 6 people on it.
6 people on the bus. Okay, that sounds like really great value for money for me.
Could have had a suburban, right?
The other problem with it is that it's a hub and spoke deal. So to get from one corner of the county to any other corner of the county, you have to come through downtown Raleigh, essentially. So if you're trying to get from Wake Forest to Zebulon, you want to go from Wake Forest to Zebulon, not down through Raleigh and back out, which is going to make it very slow. If you happen to live or work in downtown Raleigh and live or work in one of those other places, if you're just doing that route in and out of downtown, it might work pretty well for you. Otherwise, it's going to be slow and cumbersome, and it's costing us a ton of money. It also diverts resources from increasing capacity for motorized traffic, which is how people in Raleigh have demonstrated that they prefer travel. Most of you drove here tonight. Most of you drive for most of your transportation needs. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I don't care if you ride the bus or ride a bike or walk or fly a helicopter. I don't care how you get here. But people have demonstrated that their preference is to drive, and government ought to be responding to that, not trying to get us to change our preferences.
They have a free bus service that'll take you. There were 7 people on the bus. You had to wait in line. People would rather pay for Uber or Lyft, pay $15 an hour. There's a free bus that will take you to point A to point B.
I've actually looked at riding the bus from where I live. I don't want to ride the bus every day, but I've looked at sort of as research. Let's ride the bus to work one day. And the truth is, there's a straight shot from where I've attached the bus to downtown. I work, like 3 blocks from here. So I'm about as close to like on that route as anybody's going to be. The problem is I live in North Raleigh, and so to get from my house to the bus stop is about 1.5 miles, and there aren't sidewalks there. So I either have to drive to the bus stop, where I'll have to leave a car. I'd have to leave it like in a bank parking lot or something. I bet the bank's not going to be crazy about people doing that. Or I have to walk through the grass, like wet grass in the morning. It heals when I'm going to work. I mean, that's not going to work. There's no bike path. We'll probably get one, right? So it's just not the way that Raleigh is laid out is not very conducive for public transportation for most people. Other thoughts?
It's just population density, right?
It is. It is. It's population density, and it's the way cities are built. Raleigh was built originally for cars. So I lived for many years in Edinburgh in Scotland, which is the most beautiful city in the world. We should all go. I was very lucky to be able to live there for almost 8 years, very truly. In Scotland, in cities in Scotland, there's a lot of public transportation. Even there, people want to drive cars, but it's very difficult because they're medieval cities and the roads are narrow. And when you've got buildings built up on both sides, there's just only so much road widening you can do. And so public transportation is really important there because of how the city is constructed. But in Raleigh, we've got wide roads, we've got plenty of space, we've got good parking, and it's more convenient for people. But people live farther away, right? You don't have the same sort of dense core that you do in European cities. So, again,
We actually had one rail back in the day, right?
here?
Yeah.
Yes.
It ran down Linwood.
Yes. Light rail is extremely, extremely expensive. In fairness, and this is actually, I will give the Wake County Commissioners credit for this. There was this Durham Orange Wake light rail plan, and Durham and Orange counties were all over. They're excited about this. They pass it. They approve the budgets, all of that. And Wake County Commissioners said, that doesn't make sense for us. We're not going to pass it, which really sort of throws a monkey wrench in Durham and Orange's plans, because it only works if all 3 counties sort of get in on this deal. The transit plan has commuter rail, which is different and is better than light rail. I shouldn't say better, I should say less bad than light rail. Light rail requires a different gauge of track, so you actually have to run new track in order to do that. You can do commuter rail on the same rails that you use for Amtrak and for cargo and that kind of thing. So if we're going to do some rail, then Wake chose the less bad option. But it's still very, very expensive. And if you look at the travel time, it's not going to be faster for most people. I mean, you might save 10 minutes if you get stuck in like terrible traffic on 40, maybe. But by the time you add in the time getting from wherever you start to the train, and then from the final station to your final destination, you're not going to save any time. Often it's going to take you a lot longer by train. Yes.
To that same point, there's already an Amtrak line that runs from the Raleigh station all the way to Cary. So once again, it's really excluding certain areas like the United or maybe one line along Glenwood, there's no point in any of that.
And again, I don't object to trains at all. I quite like taking the train, actually. My husband and I took the train up to Washington a few years ago. It was fantastic. I highly recommend this. It was relaxing. I had a glass of wine on the trip. We played cards. I read a book. We got to DC. We didn't have to fool with parking charges that were like $45 a day at the hotel. I mean, it's crazy. So the train was great for that. But the train between here and Durham is just not something that's ever going to be practical for most people. Yes?
I traveled the Raleigh to Greensboro route. It was the exact same time as if I drove. And there were a couple times if I was a little late because of work, I got stranded in Greensboro.
Right.
So I ended up having, and I actually liked it. As you said, I really enjoyed being on the train because that whole hour and a half, I got to sit there and sleep or type or phone call. But in the end, I had to stop because my company didn't want to pay for an extra meal for me.
Right.
It was very short-sighted of them, but it shows that a very small change in what your employment or organization of your life just totally makes it a non-starter to be able to use it.
It absolutely does, and it's not just my meeting red flag. That's a good, that is a really good example. A meeting runs late, or you get stuck. The bus is late. The bus that was getting you from your office building to the train station or whatever. So that can happen. What if a kid gets sick and you need to get your kid from school? What if you need to stop on the way home and pick up dinner? What if you've got a doctor's appointment over lunch? Or a lunch meeting somewhere. I mean, there are just so many things about our lives that are unpredictable, and cars give us that flexibility. Now, there are places in the world where people don't drive cars, and they have very, very good public transportation systems. But you can make it work. I didn't have to have a car when I lived in Edinburgh. I could make it work. It was still working. I paid $8 a gallon for gas for years, and I did that because it was so much more convenient to have a car for all of those reasons. So I think that it is unlikely it's ever going to make sense in Raleigh. Other questions? Okay.
All right. While you're reading all this exciting stuff, I couldn't get a Dodgers. I was told again. Chris told me he wanted a Dodgers cup, but that's what they had on eBay.
So I'm a Giants fan, which means that I keep the Dodgers with every ounce of my being. But here's the one good thing I will say about the Dodgers. So the last privately financed stadium before AT&T was Dodger Stadium. There you go.
All right. Two last quick things. First is this integrity check. Did anybody have to drop maybe $40 cash in the last 25 minutes? Anybody sure they carry cash and perhaps missing $40? If not, the Elect Olin Watson campaign.
Oh, you looked at some form of CRO.
Yeah. All right, so there's that. And on that note, Olin is running for City Council District C. For whatever reason, 5 people are in that race. It's a very popular district, but we've got the best person running, so do not leave here without signing away probably at least the value of your home to Olin, or whatever the max is, $5,000. I'd really appreciate it. So, again, Julie, thank you for coming. It's been fantastic, and hopefully you'll stick around for a little bit. I will let you work out how that actually works when. Just assume I knocked off a 7-11.
I thought you said it was 40. This is only 20.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.